Here we go. I'm on the bottom of page 1, our American Revolution margin notes, read aloud to be continued, video 2. They also intended to seize Samuel Adams and John Hancock, whom they viewed as patriot ringleaders. To save both the munitions and the men, Paul Revere kept watch over British movements around Boston. When he could tell, I'm now on page 2, what the British were up to, he would take an early warning message to Lexington, where Adams and Hancock were hiding, and to Concord. Revere sent a spy to nose around the British and then relay a message from the steeple of the Old North Church in Boston. The spy was to light one lantern if the redcoats were coming by land, 2 if they were coming by sea. Pause now and create your margin note in the left-hand side. When Revere heard that 2 lanterns were lit the night of April 18th, he was off. He and another rider, William Dawes, took different routes to Lexington. They alerted every house with the message, "The regulars are coming out." He didn't say the British are coming. Most colonists still considered themselves British. As they spread the news, about 70 Minutemen gathered on Lexington Green to confront the redcoats, who arrived early in the morning. The British troops, about 700 of them, were hoping to march right past the Minutemen, but an under-ordered shot rang out and both sides began firing. When the shooting stopped, 8 Minutemen were dead. Pause and complete one note from that paragraph. Pull out one thought, one idea, one thing that was interesting, one thing that stands out. Next section. The redcoats marched on to Concord, where they found out about 350 Minutemen were waiting. Nearly 100 colonists were killed or wounded in the 2 battles. Between the battles and their return to Boston, the British suffered 250 dead or wounded. Pause and take a note. In the gray area, here's the next little poem. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. No one knows why Henry Wadsworth Longfellow chose to immortalize only Paul Revere in Paul Revere's Ride, 1860, his poem about the fateful April night, especially since Revere was captured before he completed the mission. Perhaps Revere just fit Longfellow's rhyme scheme. In any case, there were 3 writers carrying the message to Lexington and Concord: Revere, Dawes, and Dr. Samuel Prescott. Prescott joined Revere and Dawes just outside Lexington, but before the 3 could get into Concord, they were stopped by a British patrol. It was Prescott who, since he knew the area well, managed to warn the people of Concord once they escaped. Do a note. I'm on to page 3 of the packet, or if you're following the pages in the book, pages 40 and 41. American English. When you hear about Yankee Doodle going to town, do you ever wonder why a Yankee is going anyway? If so, you're not alone. No one knows for sure where the curious word Yankee comes from. People have suggested that it started with Indian words, but no such words have ever been found, or from a Dutch man named John Keys, meaning basically John Cheese, or from a Dutch pirate named Yankee. Whatever its origin, it was not a complimentary term in colonial days. British officers used Yankee as a rude word for the Americans they disliked. American revolutionaries began to call themselves Yankees just to defy the British, and the name stuck. Today, the rest of the world considers any American as a Yankee. Within America, the term has come to refer to a northerner, especially one from New England. Pause and do a note. In 1775, did most colonists want to be independent from Britain? No, believe it or not even though shots had been fired 3 weeks before, declaring independence from Britain was still a radical idea when the Second Continental Congress convened in May 1775. It was an entirely new concept for people anywhere to govern themselves, especially people who had been raised to revere English customs, royalty, and history. So despite the colonists' outrage at taxes and unfair policies they'd been subjected to, most of them still hoped to reach a peaceful settlement with Britain. I only have 10 seconds. I'm going to do this. In a last-ditch attempt to reconcile with King George, Congress wrote the Olive Branch Petition. An olive branch is a symbol of peace. Meanwhile, Congress agreed to raise any